Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
Wrigley Field celebrating 100 years here in 2014. The Reds are making their second visit here in this baseball season. And inside, you can see the sun is shining, but there are some clouds and some overcast skies overhead. We may experience a little bit of rain later on. Tonight, the Reds and the Cubs here on Fox Sports Ohio. And hi, and a pleasant good evening, everyone, and welcome to Reds Baseball. Jim Kelch along with Chris Welsh. Well, tonight, Alfredo Simon goes to the mound for the Reds. And Chris, if there has been a surprise player in Major League Baseball this year, if there was an award for that, I'd vote it for Alfredo Simon.
Well, I think it would probably be a unanimous vote, Jim, no doubt about that. Not exactly going out on a ledge right there, because Alfredo Simon has been simply lights out. 10 wins, tied for most in the National League, only one behind Tanaka of New York Yankees for the Major League lead. On the road, he has been some kind of a road warrior. 7 wins, 1 loss, 266 earned run average. And against the Cubs, well, they don't even want to hear the words Alfredo Simon when he shows up here in Chicago.
Now, on the mound for Chicago is a big right-hander, Jeff Samardzija. He has only 2 wins on the year, but that does not mean he hasn't pitched well.
Well, he's pitched really well this year. In fact, he's pitched so well that the Cubs have dangled him out there as possible trade bait. The one thing that starting pitchers really can't control are wins and losses. He gets no support at all, but that earned run average is very good, except against the Reds. The Reds, for some reason, are able to get to Samardzija, and one reason why is because they've been very patient at the plate with him, make him throw strikes. But lately, Samardzija has found the strike zone, and he's throwing more strikes than ever.
Well, we mentioned this is the second time the Reds have been to Wrigley Field this year. They won 2 out of 3 earlier, and over the last 3 years, they have dominated play here on Chicago's North Side. Sports Ohio is brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com, by AT&T, mobilizing your world, and by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. As we close in on baseball here at Wrigley Field, let's go down to the field and Jim Day. Jim,
thank you very much. The Cincinnati Reds enjoy playing here at Wrigley Field, not only because it's a great yard to play in, but they've had some ultimate success here. It's part of our Elk and Elk storylines, brought to you by Elk and Elk. Serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Reds are 19-4 at Wrigley since 2012. An .826 winning percentage. That's second best versus any team. Houston, they're 10-2 against. Offense scoring over 5 runs a game. That'll get it done if you got a good pitching staff. And indeed, they have pitched well. Under 3 ERA here as a team. 7.6 strikeouts per game. Let's hope those numbers continue at the friendly confines, or for the Cubs when the Reds are here, the unfriendly confines. Jim Kell?
Well, Brian Price's team won 2 out of 3 back here in April. As we mentioned earlier, they come in trying to go over the 500 mark for the first time this year. And here's the lineup that he presents for tonight's game, the 75th game of this 2014 season, presented by Meyer. Hamilton, then Frazier in the number 2 spot. He's had a lot of luck against Samardzija. Votto in the 3-hole. Mesoraco, Bruce, and Ludwig in the middle. Playing second base is Skip Schumaker, batting 7th for the Reds. Zach Cozart is the shortstop, batting 8th, and Alfredo Simon does the pitching. He bats 9th against his 6'5" right-hander Jeff Samardzija.
6'5", hard throwing, and on a pretty good roll, Jeff Samardzija. He's got a 2.6 earned run average, so you can really throw that win-loss record right out the window. Opponent batting average is nice, but what I like about these numbers, if you're a Cubs fan, is the 5 home runs he's given up this year. He keeps the ball in the ballpark, mainly because he shifted his fastball from a 4-seamer to a 2-seamer. He's burying everything down in the bottom of the zone, and that's really where the Reds ought to look if they're going to have success like they had before against Jeff Samardzija.
Well, he starts against the Reds for the 3rd time this year. He's 0-2, but with a very good ERA against him of .284. He gets Billy Hamilton to lead things off, Frazier and Votto to follow. Game time temperature here at Wrigley Field, 75 degrees. Billy Hamilton, who did play but did not start in the game yesterday, back in there today. He's at a ball in the strike. He comes in at 273. 4 home runs, 23 batted in, and he brings a 10-game hitting streak into this contest. 3rd double-figure hitting streak by a Reds player this year. 14-gamer earlier by Frazier, the 11-gamer by Mesoraco, and now the 10-gamer by Billy Hamilton. And look at the number on that, 383 during the streak. Billy's seen Samardzija for the 3rd game this year, and he's had a decent amount of success against them. 4 hits in 7 at-bats, including his first home run. It came at Great American Ballpark on the 29th of April. His first big league shot, tied that game at 2. That was the game in which Simon and Samardzija squared off. A home run by Hamilton tied the game in the bottom of the 5th. The Reds pushed another run across in the 6th. Went on to win that game 3-2. With Simon winning it, Samardzija losing it. Here's that home run we were talking about.
You know, Billy Hamilton has surprising power, and I mean from both sides of the plate. Just because he goes up there and he's not all bulging with muscles, you tend to think that he can't pop it out of the ballpark. You get a ball down and in. That's his power zone.
Headed toward right, under the glove of the second baseman Barney, and into right. Look at Hamilton motoring around first, on his way to second. Boy, oh boy, he takes advantage of every opportunity you give him to use that speed. That's going to be a double for Billy Hamilton.
I mean, it's just amazing to watch his kids play. Barney tries to get this ball, and he tries to get it in a position where he'll have a chance to throw out Billy Hamilton. Now, if he had just dove for that ball, knocked it down, Hamilton would have been at first base. I don't think that Barney, in his wildest imagination, would have ever thought that Hamilton would have stretched that ground ball into 2.
Well, he's probably only one of 2 players in the National League that we've seen that could do it, the other being D. Gordon of the Dodgers. So now it's Frazier, who Brian Price has said he is very comfortable with in the 2 spot. With a runner in scoring position.
Well, why not? Why not? I mean, he's leading the team in batting average, home runs, RBIs. Just about every other worthy stat.
17 long ones, 44 batted in, and he'll crush one to the alley in right center field. That will give the Reds the lead. Hamilton will score. Frazier around second. He's going to go for 3. Barney's throw is way wide to third. Frazier gets himself a 3-base hit. The Reds have taken a 1-0 lead. The first triple of the year for Todd Frazier.
Well, that was quick. You talk about a quick strike offense. Samardzija misses with a spot. Frazier has hit the ball to right field more and more recently. And I mean, not just bloop it out there, but drive it out there. And so the Reds go double, triple. Cubs are down by 1. What better way to show you mean business when you come in with a ball club that is below you in the standings and you take the lead right away?
The Reds have now scored in the first inning in 8 of their last 10 games.
Hello.
Joey starts the game at 273. He's driven in 21. He's hit 6, but none since his return in almost 2 weeks. He has hit in 11 of the 12 games since coming off the disabled list. Nobody out. The Reds have a great chance here to add a second run. Smash on a hop to Barney. Frazier will stay put. Votto is out. Take a look at the Cubs defensively behind Samardzija, brought to you by your Ford dealers. Chris Coughlin is out in left field, the former Rookie of the Year down with Florida. Ruggiano in center, Sweeney in right. Valbuena, Castro, Barney and Rizzo, their infield. Samardzija throws to the recently activated Wellington Castillo. In fact, was activated from the Cubs disabled list yesterday. Here's Mesoraco.
A man on third, less than 2 outs. Votto had a chance, hit it very hard, but right at the second baseman. But this is where you really need to get the ball into the air and get this easy run in.
Mesoraco, a .333 hitter with runners in scoring position this year.
The problem really when you face a guy like Samardzija and you need a fly ball, he's not all that easy to hit fly balls against. He's rolling up more ground balls this year than ever before. He's really fallen in love with that sinking fastball, and that's a hard pitch to elevate.
Check swing. Did he go? And yes, says Dan Iasogi, he did. Evan Mesoraco, our steel power tool performer of the night. He's homered in 3 straight games, the first Reds catcher to do that since David Ross back in 2006. 3 straight games in which he has played. He did not play in the game last night, or yesterday afternoon against Toronto. Homered in the game Thursday, that big game tire in the 9th inning at Pittsburgh. Homered Friday, homered Saturday. He's at 2 balls and 2 strikes.
There is one guy in this ballpark who is just completely dumbfounded right now, and it is Jeff Samardzija. Watch his reaction after this is called a ball.
It's not a rookie umpire back there, Dale Scott.
Well,
he didn't like the call. Did Samardzija of the veteran. And he hit it. Mesoraco hit by the pitch. He will take first base. The first 4 Reds hitters who come to the plate reach base.
Not sure. We'll probably get a shot from this view where exactly it got him. Got him right below the wrist. It looks like the the forearm that is closest to the wrist. That got him solid. That ball, when it drops straight down like that, the entire impact of that went right onto that wrist. And that is his throwing hand. So I'm sure that there's at least a couple of Cubs in that dugout that realize that right now. And if they get runners on, they may just find out how much that hurts him. Although he's a tough kid. He's about as tough as they come.
Cubs silver lining of that, they could get a double play ball and get through this inning. Bruce tries to add to the lead now with 2 on and 1 out. Jay in yesterday's game 2 for 4, including a run batted in. He's now at 225 with 7 homers. He's driven in 26. Frazier tripled in Hamilton. He's at third. Mesoraco over at first. Samardzija had a stretch, and we talked about the fact he has 2 wins on the year. He went a stretch of 16 straight games started, dating back to the end of last year in August, in which he did not get a victory.
Well, Samardzija is really the poster child for all the sabermetricians who think that wins and losses really ought to be thrown right out the window. I mean, they essentially feel like it's a worthless stat. Because if you compare the numbers of Samardzija to, say, Alfredo Simon, in many categories he's better than Alfredo Simon, yet he has 2 wins and Simon has 10.
I agree with you on that.
I didn't say it was my opinion. I'm just saying I'm repeating what you read and what you hear, and you talk to people who are involved with dissecting the numbers more so now than ever before. And it used to be that the only bellwether of whether a pitcher was any good or not was his wins and losses. And they would even oftentimes vote for Cy Young Award winners based on how many wins. If he's a 20-game winner, I mean, that's a moniker that stays with you the rest of your life.
The only time it appears they really look at that number is when they want him to start in the All-Star game. They want a big win number there. That one dips low, and now a full count.
Well, it's hard to turn down a pitcher who has a tremendous number of wins going into the All-Star game. That's why Alfredo Simon presents Mike Matheny with quite a conundrum. Because obviously the guy on this pitching staff that is most worthy, I would say, is Johnny Cueto. Been the best pitcher in the National League, or one of the top 2 all year long. And then you have Alfredo Simon. If he reels off a couple more wins, you have to figure he has to be in there.
Bruce strikes out for the second out of the inning. And his guy, Matheny's guy, Wainwright, won his 10th over the weekend.
Well, a good at bat right there by Samardzija after seeing what he thought was strike 3 not get called against Devin Mesoraco. He comes back with a little split finger fastball there, and he gets a strikeout. So that puts the Cubs infield back.
Here now is one of the hottest Reds going, certainly in the month of June, Ryan Ludwig. There's his overall number at 282. In the month of June, he's hitting .410 with a couple of home runs. He had that big 2-run first inning single on Saturday afternoon against the lefty Jay Happ. Hits this ball hard, but at the shortstop, Castro to Barney, and the force out on Mesoraco. And so despite the quick start, the Reds settle for 1 in the first, and Alfredo Simon now takes the mound. the Frazier triple, and now Alfredo Simon goes for his 11th win of the year against Rick Renteria's club. Rookie manager of the Chicago team brings his club in at 11 under, 31-42. And here's the lineup that he presents this evening. Brought to you by Meyer, Coghlan, Ruggiano, and Rizzo, Castro, Valbuena, and the recently activated Wellington Castillo, Sweeney, Barney, and Samardzija against the 33-year-old right-hander Alfredo Simon.
33 years old and having the time of his life right now. 10 wins, 3 losses, pretty much a quality start almost every time he goes out. He's got 11 of those out of the 14 starts that he's put together this year. Or make it 12 quality starts in 14 tries. Last time out, 6 1/3, 3 in, 3 runs against the Pittsburgh Pirates. That was a win.
It's Chris Coghlan to lead things off and playing left field for this Chicago team after starting the year in the minor leagues with their AAA team in Iowa. Alfredo Simon reeled off 6 consecutive quality starts and 4 wins to get the season going. His first bad start was against Colorado when he allowed 5 runs in 3, and he came back with 2 more quality starts, and he's had 4 in a row going into this one tonight. He gets a strikeout of Coghlan to get the first inning going.
Well, the one thing that really has made Simon so good this year is his off-speed stuff. They're getting him off the fastball, and he takes a little something off that. That's his little split finger. Both of these hard-throwing right-handers use a splitter as his changeup.
Batter now is Justin Ruggiano. He's at .230 with a couple of home runs. Veteran player, now 32 years old, will roll this to the shortstop. Cozart will make the play. Votto with a good scoop on that ball that's low, and there are 2 out. Reds defensively brought to you by your Ford dealers. Behind the right-hander Alfredo Simon, line up like this tonight. Ludwig, Hamilton, and Bruce in the outfield. Frazier, Cozart, Schumacher, and Votto across the infield. Mesoraco does the catching for Alfredo Simon. You note the fact that Brandon Phillips, who left the game yesterday for a pinch hitter in the 5th inning, is not in the lineup today. He has an injured right heel. It occurred in the at-bat, apparently in the 1st inning of yesterday's game. He stayed in for a few more innings and then left. Schumacher gets his 2nd start of the year at second base, and it marks the 3rd different position in which he has started for the Reds in the last 4 days. He started the game yesterday in center field, giving Billy Hamilton a break. He started the game in left field against Toronto on Friday night. Now he gets to start here at second base today, and he's very deep for this hitter. Lined in the center. Hamilton got a good jump. An 8-pitch inning, all strikes for Simon, and down go the Cubs in order in the 1st.
the infield and outfield there. You can vote on MLB.com through July 3rd, and all leading up to the big game on Fox. The Home Run Derby is Monday night, July 14th. And by the way, Troy Tulowitzki was also announced as the captain for the Home Run Derby. And then Tuesday night, the All-Star Game on Fox, per usual. Jim Kelch.
Does that mean then, Jim, that Troy Tulowitzki then will pick the people that he wants to compete on the National League side?
I do believe that that's the way it worked. They also announced a new format for the Home Run Derby. It features 10 players who get 7 outs per round with bracketed play after the first round. So I imagine he indeed will pick, and I'm speculating, but he will pick the team.
I know in the last couple of years that's the way they've done it. I'm just thinking about our guy, Todd Frazier.
Well, I tell you what, I've talked to Don Long and several Reds who watch him on a daily basis taking batting practice. They believe Todd Frazier can actually win the Home Run Derby. They say that he can hit home runs in batting practice at will, any part of the field. They truly believe he can win it.
Wouldn't that be something to see him do that? We are being told, Josh Hall, our producer, says yes, Tulowitzki will pick the other contestants on the National League side, and Jose Bautista, who left the game yesterday for Toronto, is the captain of the American League side, and he will pick those participants. Nice play by Rizzo, feeding Samardzija. Schumacher is out 3-1 to start the second. Wouldn't that be something to see Todd Frazier get into that? And who knows, maybe when he would get the pick, I guess the person that throws to him. Isn't that how they've been doing that?
It is indeed, yeah.
Maybe he would pick somebody from the Red staff. Maybe he would pick Billy Hatcher. Who knows? Maybe he'd pick Nielsen Antigua, the bullpen catcher. You never know.
Well, whoever he picks would be quite an honor, because he would be, of course, going to the All-Star game with him, enjoying the festivities. And it might be Billy Hatcher. Billy throws some good home run ball BP. Just like he used to like to take it.
Cozart bats with 1 out.
Samardzija so far really keeping the ball down. There was a time when he would throw about as many high four-seam fastballs, trying to go up the ladder. Now he seems like he just wants to bury everything down around knee high.
What do you make of all the trade talk that the Cubs are putting Samardzija's name out there, Jason Hamill's name out there, and even to a certain degree Jake Arrieta out there?
You know, they're rebuilding, and they're rebuilding from the ground up. So they're not going to be ready next year. They've made no secret about the fact that this is a long-term plan.
Castro will make this play for out number 2.
But you'd have to remember that the Samardzija is not a free agent after this year.
Right.
He is under the club control until after next year, 2015. Now, you know, what they don't want to do is have him go to arbitration and make a huge amount of money on a team that they don't expect to be competitive next year. So they figure that maybe with a year left, that would give the team that receives Jeff Samardzija a lot more value than rent a player for half the season, and maybe they would get more in return.
Now the rumor has it that he has turned down a 5-year, $85 million deal, looking more along the lines of a contract like Homer Bailey signed and like Adam Wainwright signed.
Why not?
29 years old, started his career as a reliever, so I would guess wear and tear wise, he's only been a starter for 3 years. There's not as much.
I mean, if you're Jeff Samardzija or you're his agent, you say, well, why should we give the Cubs a discount? What have they done for us except put a team that is barely competitive on the field behind them?
All good points. Most of the prospects that the Cubs have that are getting close are position players, is what I understand, right? That's
that I can't speak to.
Yeah, they have a number of their top prospects, like Javier Baez, who's a shortstop. Chris Bryant, who just recently was promoted to AAA, is a third baseman. Albert Almora is an outfielder. Jose Soler is an outfielder. All some of their top prospects. 1-2 to Simon with 2 men out. It actually looked clearer now than it did when we came on the air at the top of the hour at 8 o'clock. It looked dark and a little bit ominous at that time. Right now it looks rather calm and serene overhead. Samardzija goes from 0-2 to Simon now to a full count. I know they haven't had a lot to cheer about here in the last couple of years, but this is a smallish crowd here at Wrigley tonight.
And you know what? There are a lot of people wearing red. How about that?
From 0-2, he walks Simon. Don't forget to tweet your photo using hashtag #OhioFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. And a little bit later on tonight, we'll have our AT&T fan photo of the game. 2-out walk to Simon gives Hamilton a second opportunity in 2 innings. Double in the first to keep his hitting streak alive at 11.
You know, the real interesting thing about that at bat with Alfredo Simon facing Samardzija is that as a hitter, he saw 8 pitches, which is exactly the number of pitches he threw in the first inning to retire the Cubs.
All 3 batters.
All strikes.
You talk about the pop that Billy Hamilton has, how hard he hits the ball. He has an incredibly quick swing, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, everything is quick about him. He's got fast twitch muscles. He talks fast, he runs fast, swings fast. He might drive fast. I haven't been able to catch up with him to find out.
You know, our resident, now, young fans probably won't know who I'm talking about, but our resident Rich Little, Jim Day, does a pretty good Billy Hamilton.
He does.
Here's a swing and a miss, and Hamilton strikes out.
Got him on something slow.
Nothing in this National League Central Division battle. Speaking of, last 3 weeks, look what the National League Central has produced. 5 teams, all of them above the 500 mark. Milwaukee, the division leader, going into action tonight by 5.5 games. And I know we're not quite yet to the halfway point of the season, but right now St. Louis is a half game behind the Dodgers for the National League wild card. The Dodgers 42-35, St. Louis 41-35. With the Reds only at 37 defeats, they are in effect 2 games in the loss column out of the wild card picture. And that should give you reason for optimism. Castro leading things off in the number 4 spot now for Chicago. And in the 4 spot now going on about 2 months. Leads his team as the shortstop with 43 runs batted in. Cubs team comes into this series having lost 2 out of 3 to Pittsburgh. They defeated them Friday, and the Pirates were able to win Saturday to even the series and then win yesterday afternoon here 2-1. Frazier scoops this thing up and out at first. Here's another one for the old timers that they remembered. I'm sure you remembered, Chris. The old Cardinal third baseman Kenny Reitz.
Yeah.
Remember what they used to call him?
Reitzy.
Well, that's not the name I was thinking.
Oh, okay.
They called him the Zamboni. Do you remember that? Because he scooped everything up.
Good name.
Very
Back
good.
In the day.
Very good third baseman.
Kind of dates you as a player that played in the years of the artificial turf. But
correct.
Certainly is a.
And I remember that nickname sticking out. You could call Frazier the Zamboni the way he plays down there.
Yeah, but that would have nowadays a hockey connotation.
Yeah. Remember those days when they used to have the Zamboni blowing that water all over the place on the artificial turf fields?
I remember the guy at Riverfront one time pulled the wrong lever and he soaked the whole section of people.
Instead of getting it off the turf,
yeah.
he soaked it.
He was supposed to send it over the fence, and he was positioned down in the corner, and if he'd have pulled the left lever, the water would have gone over the fence and drained out, and he pulled the right lever instead, and all the fans were sitting there, got a free shower.
Well, maybe it was a hot, humid day, and they appreciated it.
It was wet anyway. Yeah. I think that was his last day on the job.
At least driving the Zamboni. Valbuena bats with 1 man out.
Well, you know, our center field camera gives you such a great look on the movement of a pitch. And Alfredo Simon's fastballs are just remarkable because he throws them so hard at 95 miles an hour, and there's so much movement on it. Watch this ball just dart away from Valbuena right here. I mean, it starts like it's going right in the center of the plate, and it's moving all over the dish.
Those numbers that we were talking about earlier with Simon. He's tied with Wainwright for the National League lead in wins with 10. He has a 3.05 ERA, but the number that we really honed in on during the Open was 7-1 in 8 road starts with a 2.66. 7 road wins, the most in the big leagues.
The other thing he does, which is a mark of a champion pitcher, is that when he misses the strike zone, he doesn't miss by much. You don't see him bouncing the ball 2 feet in front of home plate or throwing the ball to the backstop. His misses are almost swingable. Like that right there. I mean, Valbuena's right on it until just the last second. In fact, he was on it so much they're going to bring him up.
Valbuena is rung up by the third base umpire, Trip Gibson, and Valbuena stands at the plate. You may have seen that right there with his hand on his hip. Now he's gesturing down to the third base umpire. We may be able to see it right here. 2 strikeouts now for Alfredo Simon. 5 faced, 5 retired. Here's the catcher, Wellington Castillo. just off the disabled list yesterday. He missed 20 games with a right rib cage issue. Right rib cage inflammation is what they had listed it as. Toward the middle and a base hit. So the first base runner for Chicago is a 2-out single by Castillo here in the bottom of the second. As you're enjoying the game tonight, reminder that we'll have our Miller Time moment of the contest coming up a little bit later on, brought to you by Miller Lite. Here's Ryan Sweeney, the right fielder. Starts the game at 2:05 with 6 RBIs. Played on both ends of Chicago, the north side, the south side. He was a White Sox player, having been drafted by them. In fact, he was a second rounder. He played a couple of years very early in his career for the Southsiders. Now ends up over here with the north side team, the Cubs. Free agent signee by Chicago early in the month of April, right as the season was getting going, after being released by the Red Sox at the tail end of spring. Cubs have been playing better as of late. They come into this game 11 wins, 9 losses in the month of June. By contrast, the Reds are 12-8 this month. Here at Wrigley Field since the middle of May. It's not been the best of times here in Chicago as of late. They lost 101 games here 2 years ago. They lost at least 93 consecutive years. They are 11 under at the start of the day, 31-42, worst record in the National League, and 14 games behind front-running Milwaukee. It's really been their pitching that has helped turn things around this month. An ERA of about 3.2. Swing and a miss by Sweeney. He is strikeout number 3 for Alfredo Simon, and we are through 2 here in Chicago. Frazier will lead it off, and he's the subject of our IGS Bringing the Energy feature for tonight. His numbers in the month of June. You see he leads the big leagues in home runs with 8. 17 RBIs now, including that one in the first inning tonight, and a plus 300 average. He has really, really been a hot hitter in the month of June. His first triple of the year came in the first. Now has a hit in 9 of his last 11 games, Todd Frazier. Votto to follow, then Mesoraco. This Reds team looking to get above the 500 mark for the first time this year. They've been at 500 at 1-1, at 11-11, at 35-35 when they won the Wednesday game last week over in Pittsburgh, and then after winning yesterday, 37-37. Their mark entering tonight. They're trying to be above sea level for the first time.
Well, you know, right now the Reds are the most 500 team in baseball. They're the only team that I can think of that were at one time 1-1, 500. They were 11-11, 500, and now here they are sitting at 35-35. 37-37.
Throws the bat at the ball and has himself still another hit. Todd Frazier. He's going to try to stretch this into 2. Tests the arm of Sweeney, and they got it. Short hop throw by Sweeney, but a good pick there at the bag by STARLIN Castro. Frazier's out 9-6.
Frazier did just about throw the bat at this, and he does make contact, but he gets it on the sweet part of the bat, and it goes a ways. Not just a little flip over the first baseman's head, but that's down by the bullpen mounds. And Sweeney makes a nice play. What helps him is that he's a left-handed thrower, and he's able to backhand it, set his feet, and throw. And you know what? Even though he's out, I like that. Take it right to him.
One of the things that Brian Price has brought into this team this year, he wants them to be more aggressive. That's a heck of a pick there by Castro.
Yeah, Castro not really giving Frazier much of the bag to slide into right there. He had set his foot right in front of second base.
That was at home plate. There'd be a major discussion going on.
It would be. Sure would be.
The Todd's 2 for 2 in this game. Votto bats, however, with the bases empty. Rounded out his first time. High and deep into left field by Votto. Coghlan going back right up against the vines. He makes the catch.
And I think the Reds hitters were hoping that when they came into Wrigley Field this time, that the cold days of April and May, that you see the wind blowing in off the lake from center field and right field, would be gone, and that you'd finally see some of those southerly breezes that happen here in the summertime, and wind blows out and it becomes a hitter's paradise. Joey Votto, that sounded so good. This guy was locked in batting practice. I mean, he was just peppering the stands with one shot after another, and just got a little bit too much underneath that one.
He's hit very well since returning from the DL, but he has not hit one out of the ballpark since then. No home runs for Votto since being activated almost 2 weeks ago now. Mesoraco hit by a pitch his first time. Evan brings a hitting streak into this one of 5.
Funny you bring the Dodgers up, because the Reds and the Dodgers have mirrored each other as far as wins and losses recently. Over the last 10 games, both those teams are 7-3. In the last 20 games, both of them are 12-8. And the last 30, both the Dodgers and the Reds are 17-13.
Well, the Reds right now finished with the Dodgers unless the teams were to meet somehow in the postseason. Really, when you look at the turnaround, and it's not complete certainly yet, but if you look at when things started to turn for this club, it was those 2 games on the back end of that Dodger series at Great American Ballpark. They'd lost the first 2, come back, win the last 2 to split that series, and kind of been rolling since then.
Yeah, but you know, if you look at it from a personnel standpoint, they weren't ready until they were whole, until you get Votto back, until you get Latos back, until you kind of get the whole roster back to where you thought it was going to be coming out of Goodyear, Arizona at the end of March. This team has really been on some kind of an offensive binge lately. Take some of the pressure off the pitchers. I mean, even the last time Alfredo Simon took them out against the Pirates, he won 3 innings or 6 innings, gave up 3 runs, but they won 11-4 in that ball game. That takes all the pressure off your pitcher.
As Rocco draws the walk, second issued by Samardzija.
So if you're sitting at home and you're thinking about, wow, the Cubs are going to trade Jeff Samardzija, you put yourself in the position of being a scout. And you have to ask yourself, is Jeff Samardzija a number 1 in the rotation? Is he a number 2 in the rotation? Or is he somewhere else? I mean, is he a guy that we will essentially give away a couple of really good can't-miss prospects in order for us to make a run either this year and next year? Or if you trade for him in the offseason, then just for 1 season.
Talking to some of the TV broadcast folks for the Cubs, and they're inclined to think that the Cubs will want someone, say, at AA or so, not necessarily so young that he's an A-ball, but maybe moving up and a pitching prospect in AA. Yank fair by first by Jay Bruce. It slows down in the thick outfield grass. Jay's going to get himself 2 bases out of this, as Rocco will end up at third, at second and third with 2 men out. Boy, that thing slowed down once it got to the outfield grass.
This is kind of Wrigley Field the way it used to be. Thick and slow, and if you kept the ball on the ground as a sinker ball pitcher, you were going to get your fair amount of ground balls fielded behind you, although that one was shot right by Anthony Rizzo.
12th double of the year for Bruce. Second and third with 2 out, and a chance now for Ludwig.
Baggio now going to come out and talk to him, and they're probably going to talk about a base being open or maybe just giving Samardzija a little bit of a breather.
He's at 61 pitches already in this game here in the third. They'll celebrate the 4th of July weekend with family and friends at Great American Ballpark. See your Reds take on the Milwaukee Brewers for only $12. Don't miss a spectacular fireworks show, giveaways, and much more. You can purchase your tickets for that weekend series today. Call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or go to reds.com/tickets. Chance to gain more ground on that Milwaukee club when they are in. That's the first team in after the end of this 10-game road trip for the Reds. That'll also take them out west to San Francisco and then San Diego, then home for an off day, and then that weekend series against the Brewers.
Milwaukee has the biggest lead of any team over its second-place club.
To give them credit, they really have not faltered since they claimed the top spot very early. Deep into center field by Ludwig. Ruggiano on the track will haul this ball in. Boy, we've seen some hard hit balls die here at Wrigley Field tonight. thinks that there is nothing flashy about Johnny Baseball besides the numbers he's putting up. The Columbus Blue Jackets, they made a trade today with the Flyers, and UC basketball head coach Mick Cronin just got a new deal to remain the Bearcats head coach until at least 2021. Get complete coverage of all of today's action involving Ohio sports at foxsportsohio.com. Brought to you by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO. Drive safe, spend less. You saw the T-shirt over the weekend, maybe in the clubhouse. Johnny Baseball, Johnny Cueto. Pretty good looking.
It is.
With the, we were mentioning yesterday, with the earrings shining bright. Cueto did pick up the win yesterday, his 7th of the year. Lowered his ERA after that victory yesterday to 1.86. Arwen Barney batting first here in the 3rd inning.
Well, probably too early, really, even to discuss it. But if you start looking every 5th day from when Johnny Cueto pitched yesterday and move on, I mean, different scenario. There's some days off in between and so on. Would you skip the 5th starter, and would you give him an extra day and so on? There's a lot of different scenarios, but there's one that if you kept him right on schedule, one of the schedules, that he would pitch on that Sunday right before the All-Star game, thereby being eligible to pitch. I think by the new rules you can be named to the All-Star game, but you would not participate. Isn't that right?
I think I've seen that, yes. You are named to the team, but you do not pitch in the game because you just pitched on Sunday.
You know, it's always a good sign with Johnny Cueto is when you see him after a game like yesterday when he went 8 innings playing catch today. That means his arm feels good.
This ball's going to go to the ivy-covered wall for extra bases as Schumacher runs it down. Barney around second, and the ball got caught under the vine. And so that's going to be a double if they concur that they cannot find that ball. Trip Gibson will go out. Check to make sure he does not see the baseball.
He sees 2 of them.
So that's a double. You know, I guess you could use that right there as a little bit of a ploy. You see that runner headed for 3rd and throw those arms up and say, well, I can't see the ball. Can't find it. Rick Renteria going to come out, the manager of the Cubs. Now, the umpire ran out there, so I don't know what they would possibly be to discuss.
The only field in baseball where this can happen, right?
You cannot see the ball. The umpire ran out there and verified it. So what is there possibly to discuss? I said Schumacher, but it's Ludwig that's out there.
I think he's telling a joke right here. That's why he's covering his face so we don't reveal the punchline.
Maybe he ate a garlic sandwich prior to the game.
You know, maybe Brian Ludwig had taken Paul Lassard's advice that this has been a very bad tick season. Didn't want to reach into that ivy.
What do you think this is all about now? How could they possibly have something to discuss if the umpire ran out there and saw that the ball was in the ivy and you couldn't get it, and he verified? He held his hand up and said 2. I believe, tell me if I'm wrong, isn't the ground rule if you lose it in the ivy it's a double? I guess here's the only thing I can think of on that. Maybe Rick Renteria is saying he was basically at 3rd base when the arm went up. I don't know if any replay that we have would show that. But if the ground, it doesn't matter if the ground rule says it's a 2-base hit. I was going to try to find that ground rule in the Cubs media guide. Comes Dale Scott, the crew chief, headed back toward the manager of the Cubs, Rick Renteria. There was a big meeting at home plate, as there always is before the first game of a series, where the managers and the umpires discuss the ground rules. And it will be a double. No luck.
No, for some reason, most baseball clubs have stopped putting the ground rules in the media guide.
Ludwig reaching for the ball. And there's Barney a step around second base.
Yeah, but no umpire would be able to know that unless they looked at the replay. So that probably wasn't what was being discussed.
Pop up on the bunt. If it wasn't that, then what would you venture a wild guess? Conklin now will come to the plate. Mentioned he's a former Rookie of the Year back in 2009 with the Florida Marlins. He was their left fielder at the time. He hit .321 that year with 9 home runs, 47 runs batted in. A young man who had been an infielder in the minor leagues, an infielder at the University of Mississippi. Look at Samardzija here. He snaps the back in half over his leg in anger of not getting that bunt down. Remember, we saw Johnny Cueto try to do that in Pittsburgh the other day. Didn't work. Anyway, Conklin was an infielder in the minor leagues, an infielder at the University of Mississippi, but the Marlins needed an outfielder, a left fielder. They brought him up, put him out in left field. Boy, did he ever perform that year, 2009. In .321, won himself the Rookie of the Year honors that year, and really has never been the same player since then. His career average .267. And he started this year. Spent the first month at AAA Iowa. Only hitting .243 down there. In the leadoff spot for the 3rd consecutive game for the Cubs. Nothing Reds here in the bottom of the 3rd.
Well, that right hand of Devin Mesoraco is getting all beat up tonight. He was hit by a pitch on the soft part of it, the underside of that wrist, right up near the hand. That time it looks like it gets on the back of the hand, right on the index finger. Wow, yowza.
Used to put that thing behind his back, right?
A lot of catchers do that. Sometimes they forget and sneaks around, and when you know it, the ball gets it.
Line towards center. Hamilton got it. He'll flip it on to second, but not in time. Example there of Darwin Barney thinking no way he's going to get to that ball. Billy runs it down. 2 out.
There have been a couple of hard hit balls in this ball game on both sides that have found fielders' gloves. Hamilton makes a nice job of this one because he's playing shallow and gets a good break. Rizzo hit a line shot right at Billy Hamilton to end the first inning. Ludwig hit the ball a long way. Votto hit the ball very well and it went a long way. Both these pitchers are living right.
Now it's Justin Ruggiano. You mentioned in the 3rd inning, Frazier thrown out by the right fielder Sweeney. It really helped that he was a left-handed thrower. Had Hamilton been a lefty there, they probably would have gotten that run.
Would have been a lot easier play. Ruggiano, the only player on this Cubs starting lineup tonight that is older than 30 years old. He's 32. But the guys who they really feel are the core, Rizzo and Starlin Castro, are both 24 years old.
Castillo, he's what, 24, 25?
He's 27.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Herman Marney's 28. Coughlin 29. And the only 32-year-old or 30 plus is Ruggiano. Samardzija yet to turn 30. He's 29.
In the air into center field. Billy Hamilton will camp under this ball. And that puts an end to the Cubs' third inning. Leadoff double by Barney. He stays put. Through 3, 1-0 Reds.
And we even speculated yesterday that it was a foul ball that hit his heel, and perhaps they announced the wrong one. But Brandon told us before the game it happened in his first at-bat, and you can see the video right here. It happened when a bat on the swing around hit his heel right there. He went on to play a couple innings, as you talked about Jim Kelch earlier. He wore a boot here to Chicago. He got treatment all day. Did not take batting practice, was not on the field. In fact, I haven't even seen him in the dugout tonight. And if this game goes extra innings, it is a little worrisome because the Reds are already down a position player with an extra bullpen guy right now. So basically, if Phillips can't go, and Brian Price would not say whether or not he could pinch hit tonight, they got 3 bench players if he can.
Yeah, it's a good point. In fact, looking at the rosters of these two teams prior to the game, both teams are playing with an extra reliever, so they only have 4 bench players. And as you mentioned, if Phillips is either not here or unavailable to Brian Price, he would only have 3. Brian was asked that question before the game. He said, well, I've got to talk to some other people first to make sure, to see what the status of Brandon Phillips is. And you're right, because yesterday we were showing what we thought might have been the play, and that he fouled the ball off his left heel. But this apparently happened, as you say, Jim, in the first inning. Ozark grounded out to the shortstop. Castro his first time. It's a fair ball, says Trip Gibson. Third baseman makes the play. Now's your chance to enter to win 2 seats to the Reds-Cubs game on July the 7th at Great American Ballpark. The 100th person to tweet at Fox Sports OH with a hashtag tweet for seats wins. You must follow Fox Sports OH on Twitter and be 21 or older to win. Winner will be announced during tomorrow's Reds Live pregame show. The 100th person to tweet at Fox Sports OH with the hashtag #TweetForSeats wins. You must follow Fox Sports OH on Twitter and be 21 or older. 4-3 on the ground out, a 7-pitch inning there for Jeff Samardzija. By the JTM Food Group. Let's create great dishes together. By Toyota. For over 30 Toyota offers, visit buyatoyota.com. And by B-Dubs. Kick off your afternoon at B-Dubs with the best seats outside of Brazil this summer for the World Cup. Buffalo Wild Wings, wings, beers, sports. One nothing Reds. We go to the bottom of inning number 4. Back to the mound goes Alfredo Simon. At 1-1-2-3 inning. A 2-out single in the second. A leadoff double in the third. Now works to Rizzo, Castro, Valbuena here in the fourth. By the way, we received an explanation of that ball out in left field. Apparently the ground rule is that if the ball goes into the vines and you reach for it, and then pull out and say you can't find the ball is still in play. So if the ball goes into the vines, you have to immediately put your hands up and then get the ground rule double. So apparently the discussion was, did he or did he not reach into the vines and try to get the ball and then stop?
So is that a reviewable play? Probably not, or else Renteria would have asked for a review.
Their third hit, a leadoff single into right field by Anthony Rizzo, now hitting 5 in a row. Here's Castro. Cubs team does not do much base running at all. Rizzo has 1 steal. The Cubs as a team have only 32. Their leader in stolen bases is on the disabled list, Emilio Bonifacio, with 13. Reds and Fox Sports Ohio would like to send out a happy birthday wish tonight to a long time, big time Reds fan, Pauline Wagaman. Today turning a mere 102. Happy birthday, Pauline. These two, Rizzo and Castro, boy, they have really been tearing.
Well, they're the two 24-year-olds that are really the foundations of this franchise going forward. They have turned it on since May the 31st, so the month of June. Average with runners in scoring position. Look at the rest of the team lagging behind. So it's like a two-man show here in Chicago.
Really, that's the way it's been the last couple of years in terms of offense. They have been down.
Well, you know, based on that, I got a little quiz for you. Trivia question, if you may.
Unsponsored.
Well, yeah, unsponsored. And my question to you, Jim Kelch, would be, who is the highest paid player on the Cubs payroll?
I would say maybe Edwin Jackson.
Close. It's actually Alfonso Soriano, who's playing for the New York Yankees.
This would be, I guess, the final year of that contract.
And even with the $5 million that the Cubs are paying towards his salary for the Yankees, he still remains the biggest drag, cash-wise, the highest paid player on their payroll, although he's not on their roster.
Am I right? Is this the last year of his deal?
I think you are right about that.
To cut this ball off. Rizzo hustling his way into third. He's in there. At second is Castro with a double. So the two hot hitters on this Cubs team go hit here in the bottom of the fourth. Single by Rizzo, double by Castro, and the Cubs are knocking on the door. Second and third, nobody out.
Well, the Cubs have played a whole lot better baseball here at home recently. They got off to a miserable start. Between March and April, and then in the month of May, they really dug themselves a hole, but they're playing a lot better. They're getting more offense from those two guys, especially.
Yeah, just looking things up, Alfonso Soriano's contract runs through this year. He signed an 8-year, $136 million deal that began in 2007 and wraps up this year. Is Luis Valbuena. Second and third, nobody out. 1-0 Reds in the bottom of the fourth.
Some kind of a breaking ball right there. Really the thing that separates Simon from a lot of power pitchers is that he throws his curveball in the 70-mile-per-hour range. 75, 76, 77, 78. That one at 79 right there, and it really bites. You take that and you compare it to Samardzija, who throws about the top end of his fastball about the same, 94, 95. And they both can get a few more miles an hour than that, but normally 94, 95 is where they work. The slowest pitch that Samardzija will throw is going to be somewhere around 85, 86, but Simon can throw it 10 miles an hour slower, really giving the hitter a lot bigger spread to have to cover.
into right center. Bruce and Hamilton, and it's going to be Bruce who makes the play. Rizzo tags, and the throw is somewhat cut off by Votto. It skipped off his glove and went to the plate. Luckily, it didn't bounce awry and allow Rizzo to score. There are outfielders that you could tag on and score on that ball. And then there's Bruce out there.
Well, you're right. That's why he called Billy Hamilton off of this. And he says, I'll take it, even though normally the center fielder is the guy that calls the right fielder off. Billy Hamilton has already had some very admirable assists from center field. And that time they were not going to run on Bruce, especially with nobody out. With one out, you take the shot.
Now it's the catcher, Wellington Castillo. They've been going with John Baker and Eli Whiteside behind the plate as their two catchers. When they activated Castillo yesterday, they designated Whiteside for assignment.
You know, your answer to that little trivia question I gave you was Edwin Jackson, but I will tell you that the next two seasons, Starlin, Castro, and Anthony Rizzo together will make less money than Edwin Jackson over the next two seasons. So you wonder what's wrong with the Cubs. You can begin with somehow the payroll disparity goes, and every ball club deals with it, but it's especially acute here.
By Mesoraco.
Well, the Reds, by playing the infield back, are pretty confident that they're going to score some more runs in this ball game. I mean, there's different theories that different teams have. The Cardinals, for instance, are a team that really never, at least under Tony La Russa, never liked to give a run up. He would always play the infield in, never wanted to give a run up, even early in the ball game. Cubs will give you one here on a ground ball in exchange for an out.
Castillo's been rough against the Cubs, against the Reds, I should say, this year. He had that hit in the second, and he's now 9 for 21 against Reds pitching in 2014. This has been an area that the Cubs have not been able to perform at all this year. Runners in scoring position. They come into this game second to the last in the National League, just ahead of the Padres, but at 206. They're 0 for 4 tonight and 0 for their last 14 with runners in scoring position. To the mound. Flip the runner Rizzo back, and Simon will throw out Castillo at first base.
Perfectly done. I mean, doesn't panic one bit. Doesn't try to make a heroic play right here by getting the runner off third base. He had a shot maybe, but you would have had to hit Frazier on the run as he's covering the bag. No, keeps his cool and throws to first base. So that's what the Cubs manager, Rick Renteria, has been dealing with here. 0 for the last 15 with runners in scoring position.
One more step down there at third by Rizzo, and Simon probably would have run right at him. Now he's 2/3 of the way home here. Now he deals with Ryan Sweeney. Sweeney struck out his first time, career-wise 1 for 12 against Alfredo Simon. Leadoff single by Rizzo, followed by a double by Starlin Castro. Valbuena flied to medium deep right field. Rizzo could not tag on the arm of Bruce. Castillo cued one off the end of the bat to the mound. Now Sweeney ahead 2-0. a 60th pitch here on this 2-1 delivery to Ryan Sweeney. Trying to protect a 1-0 Reds lead. These two teams same time tomorrow night, 8:05 Cincinnati time, 7:30 with Reds Live. And an hour earlier on Wednesday, 7:05 with Reds Live at 6:30. To left field, Ludwig has it in his tracks, and a good job by Alfredo Simon. Second and third, nobody out. Fly ball, bounce out, fly ball, inning over. To the 6 at Great American Ballpark, and that's for only $12. Saturday, the 5th of July. First 20,000 fans receive a Joey Votto t-shirt thanks to John Morrell. Purchase your tickets now. Call 513-381-REDS. Visit select Kroger locations or go to reds.com/tickets. That'll be a big series. Reds and the Milwaukee Brewers coming up right after the conclusion of this road trip. They'll send up the top. Hamilton, Frazier, Votto. Anybody gets on, Mesoraco. Billy in this game that double to start the contest, giving him an 11-game hitting streak and tying him with Mesoraco for the second longest by a Red this year. Well, he has just had a terrific month of June for sure. Hamilton came into this game at .324 this month with 11 stolen bases in 13 attempts with 13 RBIs. That's second on the team to Todd Frazier. Here's a guy batting in the leadoff spot. Not a big RBI guy, or at least you wouldn't think he would be. 23 on the year, 13 this month. Becoming, it appears, a lot more comfortable in his major league skin now that we are almost halfway through this season.
You know, and what that really means is that he's slowing the game down around him. He doesn't seem quite as fidgety at the plate as he did early on, chasing pitches, especially breaking pitches in the dirt. What he's done is he's shifted the fidgetiness over to the opposition. The infielders and the catchers when he gets on base.
And there were many a fan, many a baseball people really, who said, you know what, Billy Hamilton is just not ready to play center field every day in 2014, that the Reds really should have gone after and tried to do whatever they could to re-sign Shin-Soo Choo. But this really has worked out very well.
Yeah, and I'm of the belief that he was probably ready to be up here last year. Although they had Choo, of course, that had a tremendous year for the Reds.
Strike three called. Billy thought he had possibly drawn a walk, but he is out for the second time in this game on strikes. 5 in a row now by Samardzija. Here's Todd Frazier. Frazier reached a mini milestone, his first time up in this game. The RBI double giving him his 200th career run batted in. He had 19 home runs last year. He had 19 home runs in 2012, and here he is sitting at 17, 75th game of the season. What that envelope said that he gave his brothers, predicting what he's going to do in 2014. That'd be nice to know. See that nice note right there? First right-handed hitter for the Reds with 17 homers through 74 games since Greg Vaughn in 1999. What a year that was, 1999. Could have been better, of course. The ending was not great, but that team was something to watch, something to follow. And that long, long rain delay at the end of the year against Milwaukee, finally winning that game, only to have to come home and face Al Leiter at Riverfront Stadium.
It's just nice to know that, you know, the Reds' power discussion doesn't end with Bruce and Votto. Well, that's a good pitch right there. That's a pitch that Johnny Cueto has used an awful lot against right-handed hitting. And that's an off-speed pitch. Now Samardzija uses that split finger as a changeup, and he just drops that baby down and in. And after seeing that fastball at 95 right there, you know when you hit an inside pitch, you got to get your bat way out in front. So you start your swing earlier. If you can throw your changeup in the same spot, it's money.
Well, 6 in a row now by the right-hander Samardzija. Allowed the Reds the run in the first. They threatened in the third. Left runners at second and third. Have not had a base runner since. Rizzo will handle this ground ball and take it himself, and for the second consecutive inning, the Reds go in order against Samardzija. Milwaukee Brewers for only $12, plus the first 8,000 kids 14 and younger going to receive a Reds Survival Bracelet thanks to Meyer. That's all the action on Sunday, July the 5th for only $12. Get your tickets now, 513-381-RED. Select Kroger locations or reds.com/tickets. Darwin Barney out of the 8th spot. He doubled in the 3rd. That was the controversial play out in left field. Did he or did he not, talking about Ryan Ludwig, reach in for the ball, then pull his hand back, thus negating the possible ground rule double. The rule stood that he did not. He'll catch this ball with relative ease. He makes the catch, and Barney is retired. Samardzija will bat with 1 out. We anticipated good pitching in this game tonight. Samardzija against Alfredo Simon. We are getting it. These two hooked up in that very tight 3-2 game back on Tuesday, April the 29th at Great American Ballpark that was decided ultimately on a pinch hit single by Chris Heisey that scored Zach Cozart. Samardzija had set down the first 2 in the 6th inning of a 2-2 game. Gave up a triple to Cozart. Heisey pinch hit for Simon. Delivered a single to left. Cozart scored to make it 3-2. And the Reds made that stand with Andrusic, LeCure, and at that time Broxton getting the save, closing things out against Chicago. That turned out to be the first of only a 2-game series at Great American. Remember, on Monday the 28th, the game was rained out, and that's why the upcoming homestand will be an 11-gamer. There'll be a doubleheader on July the 8th. Day-nighter split. That'll be a 5-game series. It'll be a 5-game series against the Cubs. July the 7th through the 10th.
That's unusual to have a 5-game series. I think you've got to go all the way back to 1999. Last time the Reds had a 5-game series with the Cubs.
They don't schedule those things.
That's why it's unusual. The Reds were 4-1 in that 5-game series. They can only hope. A lot of people from Cincinnati here in this particular trip in for the Reds. Man, so many people around the team hotel here at the ballpark.
Votto in foul ground. Going to get a read on this ball right near the tarpaulin roll and makes the catch. He did a good thing right there. He went way over, then came back and made that catch. He invites you to come on out to the Tin Roof and watch the game this Wednesday night. Meet Fox Sports Ohio girl Christine. Try your luck with the Home Run Derby Challenge and have the chance to win some great prizes. It's all happening this Wednesday at 8 at the Tin Roof right there at the Banks in Cincinnati.
You know, I saw tonight Ralph Dusing. Ralph Dusing is a stalwart in every Reds fantasy camp. I mean, there was a time he would catch every pitch of every game. Wow. He's getting up there, though, and he said he signed up today. The first day you were eligible to sign up for the Reds fantasy camp, which is next January. I think starts on January the 17th to the 24th. And the Reds already have, on the first day, 110 people signing up.
How many can they take?
They're going to expand it to, I think, 144 this year. So they're off to a tremendous start. Boy, what a great week that is.
And Doug Flynn, when we worked radio together in Milwaukee last road trip, was talking about expanding it so much this year because of demand. There's just so many people who want to do it. They all want to hit against Chris Welsh.
Well, they don't all get that chance, but they can only dream about that.
You and Tom Browning, that's who they want to hit against.
Well, they don't want to hit off Browning. He can still pitch. And he'll knock you down, too. A little nicer to those guys.
There's a 1-2-3 fifth inning turned in by Alfredo Simon here in the bottom of the 5th.
not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Let's go right to our AT&T fan photo of the night. We were talking about it earlier. You can get involved. Tweet us your photo, hashtag Ohio fan photo, and today's is from Joe at Beer Gets Me Rowdy. Beer Gets Me Rowdy. He's a sports fan indeed. Look at all that memorabilia. Bengals, Ohio State, Reds. What else I saw there?
That looks like Tom Brenneman's man cave right there. The only thing that's missing, of course, is a Bobcat jersey from Ohio University.
Yeah.
Which every so often from time to time he admits to having gone there.
I wonder if he wishes he had really gone to the Ohio State.
I think he got to pass the test.
Is he a Bobcat all the way? Is he a Bucket? Is he more in scarlet and gray or green and white?
Well, I know he has an extensive collection of sweater vests.
Doesn't wear them anymore, though. That's out of style.
At least not in June and July.
As Jim Day likes to call the C-bus.
When that scarlet and gray game comes around, though, he might be donning that thing. Heading up for a day at Scioto Country Club and then going over to the ball game. Kind of the way he rolls.
You ever roll that way with him?
No.
You're green and
not in the click.
You're green and gold all the way, aren't you? The Bulls.
We got a long way to go before we can even compare ourselves.
Nice facilities down there, though. Oh, Mesoraco for the second time in this game is hit by a pitch.
No harm on that one. At least no malintent on the part of Samardzija because it was an off-speed pitch, 86 miles an hour. The first one that got him was on the wrist, and it was a fastball, but that was a splitter that he kind of released it on the side, and it just spun right into him.
Got him in the muscle part of the shoulder. He's got 3 plate appearances tonight, been on all 3 times, so is OBA going to be shooting up?
Guy's tough. I mean, he is one tough dude.
Reds here look to put a little separation between themselves and the Cubbies. Talking earlier about the fact that there is the opportunity, there is the chance that we could get some rain, some thunderstorms are headed this way, we are told. Around the top of the hour. Bruce doubled his last time into right. Struck out in the first. The weather bug says there's no rain coming. The weather bug app. Is you guys are going to be all right at Wrigley tonight.
Now, who told you about the rain? Was that Marty?
No. Your man Coop.
Nobody better when it comes to, other than Joel Luckup and Coop, as far as running the numbers.
Yeah, Marty said it was going to get here around 7:30. And last but a 90-minute span. He's way off.
He's predicting doom.
I think his weather app, whatever he uses, needs to be updated. Jim Day turned me on to the weather bug, and I think it's great.
I still think that you ought to use the mule tail.
Is that what you use?
Yeah. When the mule tail is wet, it's raining. When it's icy, it's really cold outside.
I can see the logic in that.
Yeah. When it's dry, come on out to the ballpark.
Speaking of coming out to the ballpark, you got all googly-eyed earlier when I mentioned he's going to be singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" in the middle of the 7th tonight.
We've seen a lot of different people sing, but now we have a legitimate singer,
a legitimate star.
Sting. You know you're a star when you have one name.
He's going to be right next door in that booth, not 15 feet from us. World-renowned singer Sting.
And I didn't bring one cassette tape for him to sign.
Yeah, isn't that a shame? 16-time Grammy winner. There's a note in the paper today about Sting. We were talking about it at dinner that he said, hey, I told my kids they've got to work. I'm spending all the money that I'm earning. Making a lot of money, but spending a lot of it. You got to get out there and work. Ethan Cooperson, our stat man extraordinaire, tells us the Police played here at Wrigley in '07. This would not be the first time that Sting's been at Wrigley. Into left field, going to be handled by Chris Coughlin, who makes the play. As Rocco retreats, and one out. We'll be back at it here tomorrow night at 8:05. That means Reds Live at 7:30 or 30 minutes prior to the start of Reds action. Reds Live pregame presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing right here on your exclusive home of Reds baseball, Fox Sports Ohio. Again, 7:30 tomorrow, 6:30 on Wednesday night. Cubs have action in their bullpen. Brian Schlitter, a right-hander, up and throwing. 97 pitches now by Samardzija. He's trying to get through the 6th inning. But tonight so far 0 for 2. Well, it rained a good portion of the morning today here in Chicago. Quit raining, but was still overcast and humid in the afternoon, and very humid here when we arrived at the ballpark the latter portion of the afternoon. Two walks, 5 strikeouts for Samardzija thus far. He has but one career win against Cincinnati. Nine starts, one career win. That was the first time he faced them as a starter back in 09. I take that back in 12. Fifth time he started against them here. 0-1. And he got him one strike. Second starts without a win against the Reds. Samardzija's at the top. 8 straight times he's gone to the mound against them as a starter. Not picked up a win. Bud Norris, when he was with Houston, 7. Wandy Rodriguez, 7. But Norris having a pretty good year for Baltimore this year.
Yes, he is.
Reds will see that club later on this summer.
Well, what Samardzija has done tonight, though, is something that pitchers over the last 6 or 7 games have not been able to do. In fact, the last 6 games, the Reds have averaged over 8 runs a game. They've had a runner in scoring position batting average of over 400, over 420 actually. So they've had runners in scoring position tonight in the 1st inning, in the 3rd inning, and unable to get anything done. And you really can credit, rather than blame the Reds hitters, I think you give credit to Jeff Samardzija. That's nasty right there. Exactly what he wanted to do, a little backdoor breaking ball, have the pitch go from being a ball to a strike right as it got to the plate. When you throw that inside, you want it to go from a strike to a ball.
thrown as many as 126 pitches in a game this year. That was against the White Sox back in early May.
You know, the intriguing thing, if you're a team that is interested in trading for Jeff Samardzija, is that he's the type of pitcher that you would project to do well in the postseason. Because he's not, those guys who are sinker ball contact pitchers, they don't normally dominate in the postseason. You get a high strikeout guy like Samardzija, throws hard, comes right after you. Not quite one strikeout per inning, but pretty close to it. Those are the kind of pitchers that a lot of teams would like to run out there, you know, in a short series.
Schumaker swings and misses, breaks the bat in the process. Strikeout number 7 for Samardzija. Brought to you by Miller Lite. How about the job in the bottom of the 4th that Alfredo Simon did? Gives up the single to Rizzo, the double to Castro. Second and third, nobody out. This fly ball to right by Valbuena did not get the job done. This one back to the mound by Castillo. Good job by Alfredo Simon. And this line drive to left by Sweeney. Fortunately for the Reds, right at Ludwig. Nicely done by Alfredo Simon. Our Miller Time moment of the night. Brought to you by Miller Lite. So 1-0 Reds lead as we play into the bottom of the 6th. Simon has thrown 71 pitches through 5. This is his big challenge here. Ruggiano the 2-hole. Rizzo the 3. Castro the 4-hitter. Talked about the Cubs doing better here at home than they did early on. They're overall 16-16 here at Wrigley Field.
Well, that is just a beautiful breaking ball for Alfredo Simon. I mean, after seeing a fastball in the mid-90s, that pitch nearly 20 miles an hour slower and sweeping across the zone. You got to respect Ruggiano's power. I mean, he's a really good high fastball hitter. If you lay a ball up around the letters, he's the kind of guy that puts the wood to it. 18 home runs for the Marlins last year.
Down on strikes goes the leadoff hitter Ruggiano, only the 4th by Alfredo in this game.
Well, it's such a beautiful pitch. We're going to call this our Cholula flamethrower of the night. Or how about our curveballer of the night, brought to you by Cholula Hot Sauce? 78? 77.
Here now is Rizzo. Team leading 15 home runs this year. I know you and Jim Day on the Reds Live pregame talked a little bit about the innings situation with Alfredo Simon. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, I know that the Reds have had some discussions about it. If they haven't yet, they certainly will. I mean, going forward, because, you know, he hasn't been a starter since 2011. And even that year when he started for the Baltimore Orioles, he only had 16 starts, I believe. And it was towards the end of the year. And if you look at those game by game, he wasn't pitching anywhere near as well as he did now. Now, he may have been running out of steam. I don't know. But, you know, he's a big guy. He's strong. You look at him, and he's got all the reason to believe that he can pitch 200 innings with no problem at all. But the fact is, he pitched 87 last year. He's already past that this year. The most he's ever thrown is that 2011 when he's thrown 115. So you have to wonder what will be left in the tank in August and September if he continues to roll right along. I mean, he feels great right now, and he's throwing the ball super. What I do like about his approach is that he's not rearing back and throwing every pitch at 95. He's pitching out there, just the same way Johnny Cueto is pitching now rather than throwing. But still, Cueto's conditioned for a long season. He knows what it means, and Alfredo's going into it for the first time ever at age 33.
Brian Price did allude today in his media meeting that there is the possibility that they would skip Simon here or there in the second half just to give him a little extra break. They've done that with Cueto. They've done it with other people.
I think it's a good idea with everybody. I really do. And if you need these guys down the stretch, especially in the postseason.
That one was a high outside pitch, and that's going to tie this game.
How did he hit that?
Way up out of the strike zone. Rizzo deposits it in the seats, the bleacher seats in left center field.
Well, that is some kind of impressive right there. A breaking ball that never even gets close. That pitch was almost as far outside as you would throw an intentional walk pitch.
Now this game is even 1-1 here in the bottom of the sixth inning. The 12th home run given up by Alfredo Simon.
You can't feel bad at all about that if you're Simon. In fact, you've got to be chuckling on the inside thinking, I mean, if he can hit that pitch, maybe I should just take my chances throwing it right down Broadway.
You've not done much against Simon career-wise. He came into the game 1 for 7, and he'd been 1 for 2.
Rizzo's on fire. I mean, he has driven in now 5 runs in the last 4 games.
Big cut by Castro and a miss. Strikeout of Ruggiano started the inning. Then the opposite field home run by Rizzo. Now it's Castro. Valbuena waits on deck. Ryan Schlitter, the right-hander, continues to throw in the Cubs bullpen. Samardzija over 100 pitches.
You wonder if they are serious about trading Samardzija, whether they're going to keep a little closer eye on his pitch count so as not to perhaps injure him in any way, so that his value will remain as high as possible.
Good
point. Mean, if he's going to be traded, I mean, these are essentially showcases that he's pitching.
Got him on strikes. it's been noted by many a writer, both online and in the regular newspaper, what we call traditional media, I guess, that there have been scouts at every game from all sorts of various teams looking at Samardzija every time he takes the hill.
And if they're not at the game, they're watching it on satellite, or they're just dialed into Fox Sports Ohio.
Valbuena with 2 out. Simon has not walked a batter. He has struck out 5. Locked up in a 1-1 battle here in the bottom of the 6th. Boy, he has really done a masterful job of mixing things up today.
That is just so nasty that he's got pitches moving all over the place.
Right at Schumacher to retire the side, but the home run by Anthony Rizzo has made this a new game. We are 1-1 through 6.
Major League Baseball All-Star Game as the best of the National League take on American League's elite. Don't miss the action Tuesday, July 15th on Fox. We showed you the latest voting. As far as the National League goes earlier, let's check out the American League. And around the infield, you'll see that the captain, Derek Jeter, in his final All-Star game. By the way, closing in on Ken Griffey Jr. for the all-time votes in All-Star history. Cabrera, Trout, Bautista around the outfield. Should be a good one. And again, it counts. Winner gets home field advantage. At least the league gets home field advantage in the World Series. New pitcher on the hill, Jim Kelch.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. This is Brian Schlitter. He's been one of the many pitchers that are doing a very good job down there in that Cubs bullpen. They have risen up to the 4th best bullpen in the National League, the job they've been doing lately.
Well, they have gotten a lot better. There's no question about that. And they're bringing in a guy who's been around a little while. I mean, he was drafted originally, he's 28 years old now. He was originally taken by the Philadelphia Phillies. That was after he was drafted by the Angels of Anaheim, but did not sign. They got him out of a junior college in Florida, Gateway College. That's down in Lake City, Florida. Also went to Charleston, or the College of Charleston. 6'5", 235-pounder.
We'll get Zach Kozar to lead it off. Simon is in the on-deck circle. Talking Talking about that Cubs bullpen, a 3.02 ERA, which is 4th best in the National League going into today. Last season, they were .420 with the team's first 73 games. The last couple of years, they've been right down near the bottom of the National League. Giving it a pretty good ride out to right center is Cozart. Caught out there by Sweeney for out number 1. James Russell, a left-hander, now gets up, starts to throw in the Cubs bullpen. There we had Samardzija with the long hair out of the mound. He's replaced by Schlitter, another long-maned right-hander.
Russell, I guess you have to have shoulder-length hair to be in this ballgame.
Final line on Samardzija, 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 run earned. That was that first inning run by the Redlegs on the double by Hamilton and the triple by Frazier. He walked 2, struck out 7, hit 2 batters, both of them being Mesoraco. He threw 107 pitches. This game into the hands of the Cubs bullpen on the home team side. Simon has walked and grounded out. He's 0 for 1. It's all starting next door. They're all gathering. Sting and his band. They're not going to play instruments over there, but they're getting some attention. As they crank those lights up over there. Understand he came in and asked you to go out for a little late dinner with him.
Yeah, we're going to meet up a little later on. I got some lyrics I was going to suggest to him.
You've been holding on to those for a while, I know.
Yeah, well, they're 80s lyrics. I'm not sure if they're still fresh enough.
16-time Grammy Award winner. Sold close to 100 million records worldwide. Inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame in 2002, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame with the Police in 2003. As a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Sting. What'd you call him? What was his real name?
Oh, his real name is Gordon Sumner.
And there's not many people that get to call him that other than you.
He's Gordo to me.
Gordo, yeah. When you said that to him earlier, I thought, I'm going to hide under a rock. I can't believe you called him that. And he responded, hey, Welshie.
Well, you know, when I might be the only guy out there still listening to his early stuff on cassette tape.
Mm-hmm. And he does appreciate that. Do not, however, under any circumstances, bring out your old 8-track.
Well, I'm saving those for Mountain.
You know, speaking of Mountain, years ago at old Louisville Cardinal Stadium in Louisville, where the Louisville team used to play.
Yeah.
Which I broadcast for.
Fairgrounds.
Yeah, the old Fairgrounds Stadium back in the day also. Bunt. And a throw that nips off the glove of Rizzo. Hamilton is aboard.
Forced error.
Mountain came and played after the game. They were very good. Loud, but very entertaining.
Billy Hamilton making something out of nothing right here, just because the pitcher is a little scared. He rushes the throw. He gets it in the baseline. And Rizzo's no dummy. I mean, he realizes that runner's coming down the line full force, and he's not going to reach into the baseline with his right arm and have that thing injured. That is a dangerous place for a first baseman, and that's the most dangerous play for a first baseman ever, is that particular play. So Billy Hamilton gets on, and I would imagine now, even with 2 out, Frazier may give him a pitch or 2 to try to get to second base. I would have given the error to the pitcher.
Well, originally they did give the error to the pitcher Schlitter. Then they changed it and gave it to Rizzo. Billy on for the second time tonight. Second in the league with 31 stolen bases. Behind D. Gordon. Ready to creep off over there and take off. He got a pretty good jump. Here's the throw, and it bounces there, and they've got it. That's a heck of a throw by Wellington Castillo. They cut down Billy Hamilton, who thought he was safe. Brian Price will come out of the dugout. Billy thought he had gotten his left hand in there. Now the question will be, what does Rob Coughlin think in the video room? And is there enough video evidence to overturn that call?
Well, that's very interesting right there, because he did not tag him on the hand or the arm, and evidently not enough evidence in the eyes of Rob Coughlin, the Reds video guy, to think that they're going to get the overturn there. And
C.B. Buckner talks it over with Billy Hamilton. Top of the 7th comes to a close.
Let me hear you. I want. Out at the old ball game. Let's get some runs.
There he is, 16-time Grammy winner, Sting. He was there with the Last Ship cast. Last Ship is a new musical with an original score written by Sting, inspired by Sting's own childhood experiences. Last Ship is currently playing here at the Bank of America Theater through the middle of July. So that was Sting with the cast of The Last Ship. And they performed right next door. Now the question is the entire crew going out with you guys for dinner, or is it just you and Gordo?
well, you know, since he's already spent all his money, he can't expect me to buy for the entire crew.
True. No, he cannot. On the other hand, as he said, there's a lot of money coming in, but a lot going out, so he may be willing to spend.
Just like in my household.
Uh-oh. Just taking some pictures. All fans. I'll send that out later on.
I'll tweet that out now. Oh my God. Tune in to Twitter.
Yeah. Sam LeCure starts to throw. Not that many times you get that close. Someone that's done as many things as he has, other than you, on a day in, day out
without security
basis.
hauling your way.
Sir, we're not telling you again. You must leave. Frazier throws out the leadoff man here in the bottom of the 7th, Wellington Castillo. Sweeney's 0 for 2. He lined out his last time. 1-1 game. Reds scored in the 1st. Cubs in the 6th. Of only 9 hits between these two teams tonight. Late on that one is Sweeney. Sweeney hit the ball right on the nose back in the 4th inning. He was the final out of that frame when the Cubs had 2nd and 3rd, nobody out. Valbuena flied to medium deep right. Castillo back to the mound, and then Sweeney lined to left. LeCure continues to throw in the Reds pen. James Russell had been up earlier in the Cubs pen. Now he has taken a seat, and they have further action down there. Pedro Strop. Simon has reached the triple-digit mark now, 101. There's Strop down in the Cubs bullpen. 101 pitches for Simon here tonight. With 1 man out. Only the 2nd 3-ball count he's had all night. The first walk issued by Alfredo Simon gives the Cubs a base runner here in the 7th.
Now the Reds bullpen should be pretty much back to normal now after the last 2 starts given the Reds by Mike Leake and then Johnny Cueto. A bullpen that was mighty beleaguered over the weekend and now should be back and feeling pretty good.
They were really beat up after that series in Pittsburgh, and then to top it all off on Friday night in the first game of that series against Toronto. But yeah, the 8 innings on Saturday with only Carlos Contreras making his debut, coming on to relief in that one. And then yesterday, another 8 by Johnny and only Chapman. Brian was saying today he had to get Jonathan Broxton up one time to heat up, but he did not get in the game. But really everybody else was able to totally shut it down. Nate Shearholtz is in the on-deck circle to bat for Schlitter. Let's hope for the double play ball off the bat of Darwin Barney here. He's only into 1 this year. Back in the 3rd, he flied out in the 5th. Lead runner is Sweeney. He's at first. Going. This ball is in the air to shallow left. Ludwig with a long run, but he's going to get there. And that's the 2nd out. So retreating to first is Sweeney. Now Nate Shearholtz will bat for Brian Schlitter, meaning the Cubs will employ a 3rd pitcher come the 8th. Boy, Mesoraco, he's had a tough night of it. Been hit by a pitch twice. Took a foul ball off the hand, and now he's plunked in the left elbow on that backswing. Wow. By Barney. Jeff Pico will jog to the mound and talk things over.
I'm not sure they've got enough ice down there in that clubhouse to take care of all the bruises that Mesoraco has tonight. Drilled twice. Hit by a foul ball on the back of his pitching hand. And then he gets hit on the back of his catching elbow. The sweet part of the bat.
A little discussion about how to face this left-hander Nate Shearholtz, who will pinch hit for Schlitter with a runner at first, 2 out. Nate this year at .204 overall, 3 home runs, has driven in 25, 1 for 6 as a pinch hitter for the former Giant. Lifetime 0 for 5 against Alfredo. Second year with Shearholtz for the Cubs. He hit 21 home runs, I should say, for them a year ago. He finds himself in the hole 1 and 2. You see against right-handers, despite being a left-handed hitter. 198, lowest in the National League. To the right of the second baseman, Schumaker, got it, bobbled it, gets it in time, and flips it on to the shortstop, Cozart. Nicely done by Skip Schumaker. They get the out at second on Sweeney. And 7 innings of one-run baseball for Alfredo Simon. In the first, this Billy Hamilton ball, it looked like it may be handled by Barney. Turns out to be a double for the speedy Hamilton. And he is driven home by this gapper, triple to the wall in right center by Todd Frazier. And a 1-0 Reds lead. Meanwhile, Alfredo Simon, gunning for victory number 11, had it going. Didn't walk a batter until the 7th. He struck out 5. Gave up this home run ball, however, to Anthony Rizzo in the 6th. That tied things at 1. Where we are now into the 8th inning. 1-1 the score. Our Honda game summary. Cure continues to throw down in the bullpen, so you figure that Alfredo finished after 7, but another strong outing. Get his ERA back under 3 for Alfredo Simon. Meanwhile, the new man in is Pedro Strop.
26 games now for Strop. Look at the strikeouts. He's got 26 of those in 23 innings.
Frazier Tardy on that one.
They're sending coach relievers into a tie ball game, and it belongs to them right now, obviously. They have the most losses out of the bullpen of any team in the major leagues this year with 14. They are 7 up and 14 down. Comes the bullpen.
The Reds right now are in Broxton Chapman territory, so if they could get something here. Well, the LeCure was throwing. Now it's Broxton who has gotten up and is starting to throw. Take your chances of protecting even a 1-run lead with those two. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Frazier. A couple of hits tonight, a single, a triple. His 200th career run batted in came in the first. Count. Ryan Schlitter in relief of the starter Samardzija, 1 inning, 1 strikeout. The caught stealing of Billy Hamilton, who, while he is second in the league in steals, He leads the National League in caught stealing with 9. Out on strikes goes the Reds' third baseman. 9 of them now by Cubs pitching.
Well, we mentioned that Strop is a strikeout artist. He's got pitches running all over the place, and he runs it right in on Todd Frazier. That's where Frazier struck out his last time up in the 5th inning when he struck out on almost an identical location pitch from Jeff Samardzija.
Now Votto, he sent one to the wall back in the 3rd inning against Samardzija. Been held hitless as this Reds team since the 3rd when they picked up the single by Frazier. It was then cut down trying to stretch it into a double, and a double by Bruce later in the inning. Nothing over the last 4 1/3. Who came over to the Cubs from the Baltimore Orioles with the guy who's going to pitch here tomorrow night, Jake Arrieta, in exchange for Steve Clevenger and Scott Feldman. By Votto there. He took it. It's 3-1.
Tough one to take.
He's really not in his usual position of leading the league in walks. He missed 3 weeks. McCutchen of the Pirates at 52. Anthony Rizzo of this Cubs team is at 48. Votto tied for 4th with 41.
Look! He still has the highest on-base percentage of anybody on this ball club by a long shot. The only one anywhere close to 400, and he is over 400. Came into this ball game at even 410.
Draws the walk, and the Reds have a 1-out base runner. Here's Mesoraco. He has been beat up tonight. Hit by pitch in the 1st inning here. And on this foul ball, he catches it on his throwing hand. Out. That hurts. Hit by a pitch in the left shoulder area. That was in the 6th, and then this backswing caught him on the left elbow of Darwin Barney when he flied out in the 7th. He'll be encased in ice when this game is over. Well, Luis Valbuena going to come in. Say something to the pitcher's stroke. Bruce is waiting on deck. Cubs bullpen quiet. They have 2 lefties down there. James Russell, who was up earlier, and Wesley Wright. Two and 0, and now Castillo will jog to the mound to talk things over with his right-hander. yesterday, they've been doing a much better job at winning the tight games. Remember, early on, they were absolutely terrible. And for the longest time, led the major leagues in one-run losses. With their win yesterday, they're now 14 and 15 in one-run games this year. Cubs are 7 and 13. To Mesoraco. Surprising you a little bit that there's not action to face Bruce, the lefty?
Yeah, a little bit since they had Russell. Yeah.
Two of them down there, but nobody throwing.
Maybe they just like the way Strop was throwing. Bruce is coming off a series in which he was very hot, 5 for 10 with a couple of home runs.
He's hitting only .219 against Strop this year. Lefty's hitting .265 against the lefty right. .211 against the lefty Russell. So not that much disparity at all. Like Strop is doing better against lefties than right is. Hard here. He's at a 3-ball count to every batter in the inning. Haven't been on 3 times. Hit by pitch, walk, hit by pitch. That's the go-ahead run at first. The person of Joey Votto, held over there by Anthony Rizzo. Ball 4, so he's had a perfect night in terms of getting on base. Devin Mesoraco, back-to-back walks issued by Strop. Big chance now for the Reds. Bruce now, then Ludwig. 2 on and 1 out. Chris Bosio pops out of the dugout again on the third base side. See, one of my little rule changes, Chris Welsh, in baseball would be any uniformed person that may be on the field must wear a uniform top. Chris Bosio wearing that warm-up top, I would get rid of that. You must wear a uniform top if you are on the field.
So that you can read his name or his number?
Correct.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I like the other one we talked. I'm not sure if we ever talked about it on the air, is that, you know, this walking out to coach a player in the middle of the game, you know, really just delays the game.
I'd get rid of that too.
Yeah. Your suggestion was 1 trip per pitcher.
Per pitcher.
I'm with you.
All right.
And you're commissioner, you've got my back.
Thank you. That'll mean a lot. Bruce with the runner in scoring position out at second. Votto, runner at first. Mesoraco, 1 out. Jay tonight 1 for 3. Bruce this year hitting .245 with runners in scoring position. For 1 tonight in that situation. These teams combined only have 1 hit tonight in that runners in scoring position setup. That was by Frazier, who had the triple in the first. Jay quickly finds himself in the hole, 2 strikes. What we're talking about in terms of the Reds. 35 for the last 82 since June the 13th. Runners in scoring position, really getting the job done. Struck him out. 3 pitches, down goes Bruce.
You can just kind of feel that anxiousness that Bruce brought with him right there to the the plate in this RBI situation. We'll take a look at this pitch by pitch brought to you by Mazda. And he gets the first pitch fastball and takes it. And from there on, Strop is going to just kind of go outside the zone. There's a high fastball there, then a changeup, and Bruce never, happened so quick. I get the feeling that Bruce never really got a chance to get settled into the batter's box.
Now it's on the shoulders of Ludwig. In this game, he's 0 for 3. He's done a nice job, a really nice job. 341. With runners in scoring position. He's 0 for 2 in this game tonight. Those numbers reflect that. Two on, 2 out. 1-1 game in the 8th. Backs up on it, and they get the force out at second on Mesoraco. Strove got himself into trouble with walks, gets him out of trouble with a strikeout and a ground out.
Reds game with MLB.com at bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet. Get live look-ins, instant replay, score stats, audio, free MLB.tv game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store or visit Reds.com today. I'm Jim Day. Jonathan Broxton into the game now after warming up in the old school style bullpens here at Wrigley Field. They're still talking about a $500 million renovation of the place. And basically, plans call for to gut the place except for the wall and the ivy. And they've actually kicked around digging out underneath the stands and putting new bullpens underneath the stands. That's met some backlash here in Chicago. Fans like the old school way to be able to tell who's warming up, or they sit so close to the bullpen you can easily just yell out, "Hey, Chris Welsh, you stink!" So, we'll see what happens.
I recognize that voice.
You do?
Back from years back.
It wasn't me. Although I did watch you pitch for the Columbus Clippers.
That was where I remember it. Except you used different words. Well, you know, the beauty of the bullpens here is not just that you can sit next to the players, is that you can you trade baseballs for hot dogs.
You can banter with them.
Yeah.
You've done that before. Trade baseballs.
Not only banter, but barter.
Get one with mustard and relish down there for the 7th inning.
It's a lot easier now because they don't count the baseballs like they used to.
Jonathan Broxton, new pitcher on for the Reds, relieving Alfredo Simon.
Broxton's had 2 full days off since he pitched against the Blue Jays over the weekend, and that was a ball game in which he pitched and he ended up giving up a run, his first run that he has given up since the early part of May. He's only given up 2 earned runs all year long. That earned run average is still under 1. It's at 0.7. He's just not giving up any hits. He's not giving up any base runners. Just having a tremendous year.
He comes right at Coughlin and gets the 1-3 put out to start the bottom of the 8th.
And you know, it's common for a setup guy to have a year like Jonathan Broxton and be completely under the radar as far as all-star choice goes.
Sure.
Because those spots normally go to some starters that have run off a lot of wins or really have dominated, like Johnny Cueto, or closers that have had a lot of sizzle because they put those saves up on the board. You've got to get to the 9th inning somehow, and a lot of times it's a guy that pitches the tough part of the lineup in the 8th inning, like Broxton has so many times, and is completely unknown for it.
Cubs have action. Hector Rondon, who's closing these days for this team, throwing down the left field line in that open bullpen, which you can see from everywhere in the ballpark. Luciano is said to have gone around. But Dan Iasonia, the first base umpire. Luciano tonight hitless, 0 for 3. Game in which Broxton threw in on Friday against Toronto his last time out. He ended up giving up the RBI double to Deano Navarro in the 8th that allowed the Blue Jays to get all the way back from an 8-0 deficit, from a 9-3 deficit, to tie it with that run in the 8th and the double by Navarro, 9-9. Retired Brett Laurie on a fly ball to get out of the inning. We're going to see the Jays, of course, score those 5 in the 9th inning and win the game. Gotten the leadoff man here, and he's ahead of Ruggiano. Rondon would love to come in, trying to save the game in the top of the 9th. Rizzo is on deck for the Cubbies. Hit home run in the 6th inning, tied this thing. Count now to the Cubs center fielder. Crowd tonight here at Wrigley of 27,747. 27,747. Hamilton back and to his left is there, and he easily handles that fly ball. 2 out. Now it's Anthony Rizzo. How about our Nissan drive of the game back in the 6th inning off the bat of Anthony Rizzo? And as Chris said, how in the world did he hit that ball? Up and out of the strike zone. He went up and got it. Hit it the other way for his 16th of the year. That tied the game. A Nissan drive of the game.
That's one of the more impressive home run swings you will ever see.
Two out, nobody on for Rizzo. Hit the ball hard all 3 times tonight. 2 hits to show for it, plus a line out in the 1st inning.
that noise about getting a good pitch to hit.
That's right.
I guess it varies from batter to batter.
Reds in the 9th inning. Schumacher, Cozart in the pitcher spot. One way or the other, it's going to be against Hector Rondon. The question will be he be in a save situation or not? Got him in an off-speed pitch. 1-2. Check that. 1-1.
He has really tightened it up, Rizzo has, and the big difference for him this year, it doesn't apply in this particular bat, but his batting average against left-handers has gone through the roof compared to what it was last year. I mean, he was almost an automatic out, a 185 batter against lefties. This year he's at 328, and he's worked on it, and it has paid off.
Roxton comes after him, foul tip into the glove of Mesoraco. Nice 8th inning turned in by the big guy, Jonathan Broxton. He'll be on the mound for the Reds in the middle game of this series against Jake Arrieta. Arrieta with the Baltimore Orioles for a long time.
It'll be Plano, Texas versus LaGrange, Texas tomorrow. Homer Bailey from LaGrange, Jake Arrieta from Plano, Texas. And both 28 years old, both right-handed, and both having very good years. Homer Bailey, 7 wins. Jake Arrieta, an earned run average under 2. He's been throwing the ball extremely well for the Cubs.
Arrieta started the year with some right shoulder issues. He was on the disabled list, didn't pitch in the big leagues until early May. He's done a really nice job for them. Great to see him for the first time ever. Tomorrow night, 8:05 game, 7:30 with Reds Live. You're on Fox Sports Ohio. Meanwhile, new pitcher on here, Hector Rondon.
Well, Rondon comes into the ball game. It'll be a bullpen game continues here. Now it goes into control of the Reds. It was Brian Schleter who came on in the 7th inning. Stroh pitched the 8th, and now Rondon.
Reds just have not been able to get anything done since the double by Bruce in the 3rd. No hits, 2 walks, and a hit batsman. 3 base runners since the 3rd inning. Castro fires it across to retire Schumaker in the 1st out of the 9th.
Rondon is one of those Rule 5 draftees that worked out. And you hear it happen all the time where a guy gets drafted off of a roster. Say you put him on the AAA roster, another team picks him up in that Rule 5 day that they have during the winter meetings in early December. And the Cubs picked him up in December of 2012. So he had to stay in the big leagues last year. This year, all of a sudden, they're using him as a closer.
See it so often. We're seeing it with the young man Wong with the Milwaukee Brewers this year. When they draft these guys in the Rule 5, a lot of times they've been in the lower minor leagues. All of a sudden they jump to the big leagues. Same situation with him. He was in A ball and AA, rookie ball, and in AA in 12, and all of a sudden in 13 he's in the big leagues. But as you say, for the Cubs so far, it's worked out, particularly this year.
Well, you're right. And sometimes you can make a deal with the team that you got them from so that you can send them back down to the minor leagues and you can work out a trade. The Cubs started with Jose Barros as their closer. That did not work out, and now they've given it to this young man.
Barros is a free agent signee in the offseason, brought in here specifically to close. Here's Brian Pena. He will bat next for Jonathan Broxton. Chapman, the lefty. Andrusic, the right-hander. If you're on the road, you can still get a save in extra innings, but not as the home team. Luciano handles that, and there are 2 out. This game is complete. Stay with us afterwards. We'll have Reds Live post-game. Brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. Jim Day will handle things here on site. Jeff Pecoro, Brian Giesenslaw handle things back in the studio in Cincinnati. Reds Live post-game. Again, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. It was Pena initially. He is called back, and now Chris Heisey with 2 men out, nobody on. Off the bench to bat for Broxton. This would be a nice opportunity right here for Chris Heisey to really break out of the doldrums that he has been in. Comes into this game 1 for his last 20. Closing in on 2 months without a home run on the year for Chris. Really gone through a tough time of it. Overall, he's hitting .210. He's 5 for 20 on the year coming off the bench. Toward right center field. That ball's going to drop, and that's a pinch hit single for Chris Heisey. The Reds have the go-ahead run on here in the 9th with 2 out. Bring Billy Hamilton to the plate.
Yeah, didn't get a lot of it, but he found some green area out there between the infield and the outfield. Perfect placement on a little chip shot by Heisey. He's got to feel awfully good to get that hit. You know, the more you go up there, the more time you come out hitless. He may not even know the number, but he knows that he was in a slump, and that just may get him going.
But he doesn't want to know the number. Hamilton now. If Billy can keep it going with 2 men out. Frazier on deck.
One thing that Rondon has done this year, 27 games, 27 innings, has not been touched up for a home run.
Heisey's on the move, and the pitch gets away from Castillo. That'll be a stolen base for Chris Heisey. Now here the Reds are in a position where a little old single could bring in the go-ahead run.
Yeah, I really believe that on that pitch, when Billy Hamilton put his bat out and pulled it back, Castillo couldn't see where the baseball was. He put that bat right at the exact eye level of the catcher, and you could see him try to peer around the bat, and when that ball was on its way to the plate, he couldn't even get hardly a glove on it.
Nothing illegal about it.
No. Catchers will tell you that's the most difficult time to pick a pitch up is when a batter squares and then pulls the bat back. And if it happens to be on the same plane as that catcher's eye level, very difficult to see. And he's pinking the bottom part of the zone. Pitches down there lower outside.
Billy get another look at a 2-2 pitch after fouling that ball off. Schumaker grounded out. Cozart flied out. Heisey hitting for Broxton. Dropped the single into right center. Hamilton up now. Frazier on deck. It's 1-1 game in the top of the ninth. Continue to throw in the Reds bullpen. Up the middle by Hamilton. Off the glove of the shortstop Castro. In comes Heisey. Reds take a 2-1 lead as Billy Hamilton, who scored the run in the first, drives it in the ninth. And the Reds will indeed have an opportunity come the bottom of the ninth with Chapman on the mound to win the first game of this series. 2-1 Reds.
Well, we showed you that number the Reds have had with runners in scoring position over the last 6 games, over 400. Billy Hamilton just trying to make contact, slides it through the middle of the field. And with Chris Heisey enough speed to get around there with 2 outs, no problem bringing that home. And the Reds are up by 1 in another 1-run game.
They can hang on and win this game by 1. Of course, we'd love to see more.
This will be their 30th overall 1-run game they've played in.
A lot of tight games right there. And they could get even. I think at one point there was something like 4 or 5 and 13, and all of a sudden they're potentially a half inning away from being 15 and 15 in 1-run games. Now Andrusik has taken a seat, and it's Chapman by himself in the Reds bullpen.
Of course, you're Hector Rondon or the Cubs, you're thinking, man, a couple of seeing eye hits, a little bloop into right field by Heisey. A 26 hopper up the middle off the bat of Hamilton. Put the ball in play, something good could happen.
0-2 now to Frazier. Pair of hits, pair of strikeouts tonight. Well, you'd certainly take a 2-1 lead into the bottom of the ninth, but wouldn't you like a little bit more separation? Frazier certainly could do that. Billy been caught stealing this evening. Was thrown out by Castillo back in the 7th. Only the 8th runner that the Cubs have thrown out attempting to steal all year, right near the bottom of Major League Baseball. Cubs in their half of the ninth. Middle of the order, Starlin Castro, Luis Valbuena, Wellington Castillo. Hamilton going, and a ball hit into left center. That's a base hit. Hamilton hustles over to third, being held there as the throw comes in. First and third with 2 out as Frazier comes up with his 3rd hit, and you can just see Hamilton hoping that that ball would roll away even a little bit away from Barney. He would have taken off.
On the end of the bat shatters. A piece of it goes down to third base. That's where Billy Hamilton will end up. And Billy, I mean, really poured it on as he came around second base. Tripped a little bit right there. He's looking over his shoulder. And Steve Smith's trying to put the stop sign on because he was thinking about going home on this.
Lost his footing, as you said, Chris, coming around second. Any bobble at all by Barney, and he's taking off, don't you think?
No doubt.
Chris Bosio wearing a path between the dugout and the mound, goes back out there now with Joey Votto, the lefty, and again, no action out of the 2 lefties in the Cubs bullpen. They'll stick with Hector Rondon here in the ninth. Retired the first 2 in relatively easy fashion. Then the pinch hit single by Heisey, the stolen base, the RBI single off the glove of the shortstop Castro into center by Hamilton, and the 3rd hit of the night by Frazier. Reds had 4 hits through 3, nothing from the 4th through the 8th. Now 3 straight 2-out hits here in the ninth. Love to see something here from Votto. He's 0 for 3 with a walk. Add to the 2-1 Reds lead. Frazier takes off from first. It'll be a stolen base for Frazier, his 8th of the year. 2nd of the inning and of the night for the Reds. Votto's had good luck against Rondon. 3 for 5 lifetime. Now the lefty Russell gets up and is throwing in the Cubs bullpen. Pitch inning for Hector Rondon here in the ninth. He's gone from 0-2 to 3-2. Votto. Chapman is ready to come on. He saved his 13th yesterday, striking out the side against the Blue Jays in the ninth.
I can't imagine Rondon giving Votto really anything to hit right here with the base open.
Mesoraco on deck. Another 3-2 offering. Headed to the plate from Rondon to Joey Votto with second and third and 2 out. Another foul out of play. It really looked like Rondon was cruising to an easy inning here in the ninth. He was able to get Schumacher and Cozart on a total of 8 pitches. Since that time, he's thrown 21. This next pitch will be his 30th of the inning. For the second time. That is ball 4. Bases are loaded for Devin Mesoraco. He's walked twice, been hit twice. Castillo to the mound. Again, the Reds win this game. They'll be a game above 500 at 38 and 37.
For the first time this year,
First
above
time.
500.
Sure. In the air by Mesoraco. Left center field to the wall. Grand slam. Grand slam from Mesoraco. Scoring ahead of him. Hamilton, Frazier, Votto, Mesoraco. 13th home run of the year. He's now homered in 4 consecutive games. And the Reds now have taken a 6-1 lead in this game. The second grand slam of the year and the third of the career of Devin Mesoraco.
Man, oh man. One of the few mistake pitches that Rondon has put above the knees in this inning. And Mesoraco right there with the bases loaded to lay into it. Right into the basket. Retrieved by a Reds fan, and that baby's going home for the mantle.
All this with 2 men out and nobody on. The Cubs will make a pitching change as Mesoraco celebrates with his teammates in the dugout. Left-hander James Russell will enter the game. This is our Skyline chili call to the bullpen from Wrigley Field. beat up behind the plate, but he's been on base all 5 times in this game and tops it off with his 3rd career and his 2nd grand slam of this season. 13 home runs now, 38 RBIs on the year. Hector Rondon had not given up a home run, Chris, as you said earlier, in 27 2/3 innings this year, and given up 7 earned runs. He gives up 5 more in this inning. James Russell becomes the 5th pitcher of the night for the Cubs. And this would no longer now be a save situation. But now Chapman has taken a seat, and Logan Ondrusek has gotten back up, throwing again in the Reds bullpen. Bruce is the 8th man to bat in the inning. We go from a tight one, a nail biter, through 8.5. All of a sudden, in the top of the 9th, the Reds hit for 5. Another big inning. We were talking about that yesterday. One of the pieces that Jim Day had is how many big innings that the Reds have had here lately. Another big one here tonight in the 9th. 4 spot in the 4th inning on Saturday. That 8-run 2nd inning on Friday, their largest inning output of the year. And that 7-run 3rd on Wednesday in Pittsburgh. A 5-run 8th in Milwaukee a week ago Sunday. They've really been able to put up some big numbers as of late. They do it again here tonight thanks to Devin Mesoraco. Reds may be able to parlay this into gaining some ground on the first place Brewers, who are trailing 3-0 in the bottom of the 9th at home to the Nationals tonight. Bruce strikes out, but a very big 9th. A 5 spot on a grand slam by Mesoraco. John Merrill hot dog plays of the game. How about Devin Mesoraco? 4 home runs in the last 4 games. That one in the 9th inning at Pittsburgh on Thursday. This one in that 8-run 2nd inning on Friday against Toronto. This one on Saturday for Mesoraco, a 3-run shot in the 7th. And now this one here tonight against Rondon into the basket. A basket shot. The Reds fan got the baseball and will treasure that. 3rd grand slam of the year, 2nd of the season for Mesoraco, 3rd grand slam of his career, I should say, 2nd of the year for Mesoraco. Those 4 home runs are John Merrill hot dog plays of the game. He's now just one off the Reds record of 5 straight games with a home run. Drusik on to work the bottom of the 9th. STARLIN, CASTRO to lead it off. Reds club record for home runs in consecutive games is 5. First done by Johnny Bench in '72. Junior did it in '03. Adam Dunn in '08. Last year, Bruce hit 4 home runs in consecutive games. That was in June. Bruce did it also with 4 home runs in 4 games in 2012. In fact, he did it twice last year in 2012. 4 games in a row. And Morocco, if he plays tomorrow night, will have an opportunity to tie a franchise record. Castro becomes the 7th strikeout victim of the night by Reds pitching. Chapman did not get into this game, Chris, but he was warming up a long time and is ready to go. Where does that put him in terms of, I know he doesn't pitch in the game, but he really got heated up.
Well, you make it aware. You're aware, and I don't think there's a manager out there except maybe Buddy Black who is as aware of an inning warmed up in the bullpen, what the effect that has on a reliever. Well, you can't say it's like an inning pitch because your adrenaline's not there. He's not out throwing 102 in the bullpen, but you know, if you could skip a day here or there with him, you do it. And I don't think it's going to have a big deal on it, but it's certainly something that you mark down and you keep a track of.
Relaxing down there
with the newest of the Reds. Well, that's Nielsen Antigua next to him, and Carlos Contreras to Antigua's left.
Carlos seeing this ballpark for the first time. Made his debut on Saturday. Talked about it earlier, but it certainly bears repeating that both these teams right now have 8 relievers. Only 4 bench players. Hendricks has gotten the first 2 here in the bottom of the 9th inning and dealing now with Wellington Castillo. Reds an out away from being above 500 for the first time this year. Frazier handles it. Reds win 6-1. The first game of this series at Wrigley Field goes to the Reds, and they are now above the 500 mark at 38 and 37 for the season. Above 500 for the first time, and that's not enough. They gain on first place Milwaukee, who lost, and they're now 7.5 games back. Tense, but then a little breathing room in the ninth.
Well, you know, Jim, the way that they have come in here and manhandled the Cubs over the last couple of years, it's something that you realize now. They built a little momentum back at home. It started really with the series against the Los Angeles Dodgers, and they took it into Pittsburgh, and they took 2 out of 3 against Toronto, and then you come here on a road, which is the friendly confines for the Reds, and you do what you've been doing. So this is a ball club now that is really beginning to gel, getting a lot of good pitching as usual, and some big-time clutch hitting. And there's the guy of the night that hit that grand slam.
All right, well, the Reds are winners 6-1. First game of this series goes to the Redlegs. Stay with us now. Reds Live post game presented by Performance Kings Honda comes up next. Cincinnati Reds baseball.